Dana White's Contender Series Season 9, Week 10 takes place this week, and here are my full predictions. First up, let's look at how we did last week. Week number 9, we went 3-2 on picks. We picked Lucas Caldas in the main event to win by KO over Chanko John Pork. He actually knocked him down in round 1, so I wouldn't say it was that far-fetched of a pick. I knew that John Pork wasn't going to shoot takedowns, and I knew he would keep it standing, and I knew Caldas had an iron chin. Given all those factors, I probably would have picked Lucas Caldas at a plus 400 again. We also had Donovan Hendrick. He was actually one of my most confident picks on the card, and he just has a dud of a performance. Doesn't look good in the striking, doesn't look good in the grappling, just gets out-grappled, gets submitted. Other than that, we had pretty good picks. As for the bets, we were down 0.83 units. We did snipe Adrian Luna on the money line. We sniped the over in that fight as well. We had a nice little parlay. We did have the under 1.5 in the Hendrick Diaz fight. That fight ended in round 2, but it just went over. That would have given us profit. We also had Donovan Hendrick on the money line. Could have went without that. Also, Lucas Caldas, like I said, don't really regret that pick, but keep in mind, guys, this is the last week of Contender Series, week number 10. So, we need to make more than 2.58 units to be profitable this season to make these videos worthwhile. So, let's get into the picks. First fight on the card is Mario Mingaj taking on Wes Schultz. You might remember Wes Schultz because he fought on last year's Contender Series, got absolutely starched and manhandled by Mansour Abdul Malik. Now he finds himself in another matchup. Now he's fighting someone in Mario Mingaj who is mainly a grappler. So we got a grappler in Wes Schultz taking on a grappler in Mario Mingaj. I think both of their strikings kind of offset each other. I don't think either really has good striking. I guess I would edge Mario Mingaj in that category. But for the grappling, I think whoever shoots the takedown first wins this fight. Whoever's on their back is going to probably lose. But Mario is coming off 4 wins in a row by triangle choke. So even if he were to find himself on the ground on his back, he is very offensive there. He will hunt for submissions. He will try to reverse positions. Wes Schultz, on the other hand, I don't know how his ground game is off his back other than when Mansour ground and pound stuffed and KO'd him. So I think Mario could find a ground and pound KO. I think Mario will be very good off his back if Wes Schultz is shooting takedowns. And I think Mario will have the better submission skill set to possibly win this fight. So for all those reasons, I'm not just going to take Mario because Wes Schultz got KO'd brutally the last time. I'm taking Mario because I think he's just the better grappler. He's 7-0, undefeated, never seen him starched, never seen him subbed, never seen him lose a decision. He's won every fight that's gone to the scorecards. I like this guy's minute winning ability way more than Wes Schultz, and I like his durability as well. And honestly, grappler versus grappler, you're giving me a guy that's plus 165 who opened as a minus 300. I will be taking that underdog. Next fight on the card is Azamat Nuftillaev taking on Jovan Leka. Azamat Nuftillaev, 17-1-1, 11 KOs, 4 submission wins, 2 decision wins. He's been mainly fighting in the Uzbekistani circuit, mainly in the Middle Eastern regional scene, and he's basically dusted every opponent that's been put in front of him. He moves forward, he marauds in your face, he shoots for takedowns, he fires big shots. I'm not liking his power on the feet, though. If this just stays standing, Jovan Leka is going to be the way better striker. That is his background, after all, is striking. So if Azamat entertains the striking for too long, I am concerned he could get chinned. In his only loss, it is a KO loss where he got completely out-cardioed, completely gas-bagged himself, and got ground and pound TKO finish. So if Azamat isn't having success with takedowns early, I can anticipate him gassing as the fight progresses, and then that's when Jovan Leka can come through and maybe get a round 2 or round 3 finish. But Azamat just has way more fight experience. He opened as a minus 250 favorite for a reason, I believe. He's going to be the way better grappler. Jovan off his back is not very good. It takes a lot of effort to get him to the ground, but once he's there, he does not look very good, and he looks like the round will just end with him on his back if it gets there. So, Azamat, potent finisher, but we do know he's going to try to bring the fight to the mat. Jovan Leka, he's only been fighting since 2023, I believe. Azamat's been fighting since like 2017. Azamat hasn't really taken much damage. He has way more fight experience, going to have way more fight IQ. Jovan's been mainly fighting at Serbian regional promotions, so he hasn't really fought any good level of competition. And for those reasons, I'm going to go with Azamat Nuftillaev. Actually, by an interesting method, I'm going by decision. I do have written here that he looks to be an extreme gas bag if the fight progresses, but Jovan Leka, on the other hand, is not a model of cardio, so even if this fight progresses, I think Azamat will just continuously get takedowns. I think he'll land some ground and pound. He might even threaten a back take, might even threaten a rear naked choke, but ultimately I think Jovan's durability is good enough to hang for 3 rounds with a guy like Azamat, so Azamat by decision is the pick. Next fight on the card is Michael Oliveira taking on Victor Valenzuela. Michael Oliveira, potent KO finisher. Of his 8 wins, he has 7 KOs. He's coming off a decision victory in his last fight, which was his biggest jump up in competition, which is concerning. But if you watch that decision win, he knocked down his opponent multiple times, nearly KO'd him multiple times. It was really on the referee to stop the fight. The referee didn't, so he got a decision win. He's 6-0 at LFA. 5 KOs there. He has a round 3 KO victory, so you know his power will hold up as the fight progresses. He trains at KO Squad with Rodolfo Balado. Not really liking the gym, but he will be the way bigger fighter in here with the more height, more reach. He's dealt with grappling well. If you look over the footage, you know, the takedowns aren't really happening against him. He's showing very good takedown defense, so as long as this stays standing, I think Victor Valenzuela is live to get finished, because if you look at Victor Valenzuela, he's on a 5-fight finish streak, 4-fight KO streak, sure, and he also trains at MMA Masters with Ilia Topuria, sure, but if you watch this guy fight, he's just leaving his head up there to get clipped, leaving his head up there to get chinned. Now, Michael Oliveira is very patient. He doesn't really throw it a lot of volume. He kind of waits for his opponent to come to him. Victor Valenzuela is the complete opposite. He is going in and not waiting for you at all. He's going to press the fight early. So, if Victor Valenzuela comes out early and just presses the fight, I think Michael Oliveira is live to find the finish in the first 2.5 minutes. So, maybe under a half round is a very interesting prop. It might be like plus 1,000 in this fight, but under a half round, I think Michael Oliveira finds the finish. Victor Valenzuela mixes in takedowns, but they're not the best. He's not like some kind of jiu-jitsu expert. So for those reasons, I'm going with Michael Oliveira to win this by KO in round number 1 as soon as they basically meet. I don't think Victor Valenzuela's striking defense is that good. He kind of relies on his iron chin to press forward and win, and I don't think it's going to work against Oliveira, so Oliveira by KO. Next fight on the card is Marwan Rahiki taking on Ananias Mulumba. Now, if there's one thing I've learned studying Contender Series this season, looking over every fighter, it's that you got to take these African regional fighters with a grain of salt, all right? Ananias is fighting out of Africa. Most of his fights have taken place at regional African promotions, and he's got 4 KOs, 5 subs with a submission loss and a decision loss. You look at Ananias' fight, his striking is not that good, all right? Not much power in the hands or feet. And his grappling, yes, that's how he's won most of his fights. His grappling is okay. It's not world class. Like, even if he gets fights to the ground, he's not immediately finding the sub. He's like slowly progressing position to position, landing weak ground and pound, and then eventually finding the sub against, you know, someone that doesn't really know jiu-jitsu because he's fighting regional Africans. As for Marwan Rahiki, 6-0 with 5 KOs and a sub win, 5-1 as an amateur, with his only loss being by decision. He trains at Lions Den Academy. Got a lot of good Australian names coming out of that gym that know jiu-jitsu, that have power in the hands. He went 3-0 at Hex, which is a pretty good fight promotion. And if you watch this guy fight, super powerful striker, pretty good judo as well. He can get the fight to the mat if he wants to. And if the fight does get to the mat, he's got some vicious ground and pound. So, if this stays standing, Marwan Rahiki is live to finish Ananias on the feet. If this gets to the ground, for Ananias' side, I highly doubt he will, number 1, hold Marwan down, and number 2, find the sub on Marwan. And number 3, if the fight does get to the ground, Marwan has shown a pretty good ability at reversing position, and once that happens, he's going to land some vicious ground and pound. So a lot of paths to win for Marwan Rahiki, not really a lot for Ananias in this one. So for those reasons, I'm going with Marwan Rahiki to win this by round 1 KO. I think as long as it stays standing, he's live to get the finish. He's a very, very good striker, and I'm not really buying regional African fighters anymore. I am done. I took Debasek. That was dumb. I faded Elijah Kubanza. That was smart. We're not taking Ananias Mulumba. Next fight on the card is Juan Diaz taking on Juan Kwon. Right off the bat, you might take Juan Kwon because he fought at 1FC. So you already know he's fought the way better brand of competition. When he was at 1FC, he went 9-5. He had 9 KO wins. Never won a decision basically there. He trains at P-Boy MMA. It's a cell phone gym. I don't like that. He's probably not getting the best experience against other fighters. He will have the size advantage in this one, and he will be the better striker. So, if this strictly stays standing and at range for 3 rounds, Juan Kwon is going to have a tremendous ability to find the finish or just win this fight by decision. But if you look at Juan Diaz's side, 14-1-1 Peruvian fighter. Peruvian fighters, they got that good durability. That's one thing we know about them. And we also know they take one to give one. So in this matchup, 4 KOs, 2 subs, 7 decision wins. I don't like that he hasn't had a lot of finishes. I do like that he's been training at Entrim Gym with Michael Morales. And I also there's a lot of things I don't like about Juan Diaz. But there's also a lot of things I don't like about Juan Kwon. This is a very 50-50 matchup in my opinion. Juan Kwon, multiple finish losses with 2 body shot TKOs in his last 5 fights. So if Juan Diaz lands a good shot to the body, I'm not completely convinced that Juan Kwon won't just crumble. So Juan Diaz is live for a body shot KO. If you get body shot TKO twice, that you're always live to get finished that way. And Juan Diaz, sneaky submissions, all right? Even though he's only got 2 wins by sub, he's coming off a grappling tournament where he got a submission victory in the tournament. And most of his recent finishes straight up are by submission. So I'm anticipating Juan Diaz to be okay in the striking. All right, I think Juan Kwon, that is his realm, but I'm not sure if he's going to have power at the UFC level. Juan Diaz, if he just gets a takedown, I think he'll be able to submit Juan Kwon. If you look at Juan Kwon's recent fights, each one of them, he is put in a bad spot in the grappling. Now, whether or not he gets finished there is a different story, but he gets his back taken. He gets the chokes put on him. And Juan Diaz, if he fights a smart fight and fights like how he used to fight when he first started MMA, he will shoot takedowns. He will get them. And most likely, with Juan Kwon being long and gangly, I think Juan Diaz will find the sub. Now, when I first wrote this up, right before I started recording, I did have Juan Kwon as the winner by KO. But the more I think about it, I think Juan Diaz is just not going to entertain the striking if he's not winning it. This guy's got 14 wins and 1 loss. He knows how to win fights. And I think if he's not doing well in the striking, he's just going to bring it to the mat, and he's going to have loads of success there. So, Juan Diaz by sub. In the main event, Freddy Vidal taking on Levi Rodrigues. Listen, I'm not going to pretend to know how to break down this fight, all right? We saw Freddy Vidal fight a month ago against Felipe Franco, and he was horrible. Freddy Vidal's not good at all. He fights at Ray Longo's gym. I like that. But he was plus 400 against Felipe Franco. And in that fight, the only reason Freddy Vidal won is because Felipe Franco completely death-gassed. Completely death-gassed. Had zero energy whatsoever once the fight was on the ground and Freddy Vidal was on top. So if there's one thing to give credit for Freddy Vidal, it's that he can out-cardio his opponents. And if he is the one on top, he will be landing vicious ground and pound and is live to TKO you if he's on top. Every other realm of MMA, I'm convinced he's not really that good and can lose to anyone that's good in those realms. Levi Rodrigues, 5-0, 5 KO wins, 3 round 1 KOs. He also went 5-0 as an amateur with 5 round 1 KOs. If this guy, Levi Rodrigues, goes out there and loses to Freddy Vidal, we're going to have to ask a lot of questions about Brazilian regional promotions because this guy's 10-0 basically with 10 KOs. And you're giving him someone that we know has really poor striking and really poor takedown offense. Levi Rodrigues should be able to starch and completely knock out cold Freddy Vidal in round 1 based on all the outlier information. If Levi goes out there and loses this fight, that is embarrassing. And moving forward, we got to take Brazilian regional guys with a grain of salt. But I'm not picking Vidal. I'm going with Levi Rodrigues, round 1 KO. With the same method that he's won a majority of his fights, he's going to be the better striker in this fight. His grappling has yet to be truly tested, so obviously there is a path for Vidal to win. But I think the only reason the odds are this close is because Vidal just won as a plus 400 a month ago, and people are like, oh, he's going to do it again. Well, I don't think so. And my final predictions for Season 9, Week 10. We're putting the Contender Series behind us after this video. I might start making NFL predictions because a lot of people in my Discords, they love my picks. So might start posting that instead of a weekly Contender Series video. But I don't know where we just went. Here are the picks. We got Mingaj as an underdog. We got Juan Diaz as an underdog. We got 6 fights this week. We're picking 2 dogs, all right? I know Juan Kwon is live to get the finish, but if he gets taken down, it might be GG's. And Mingaj, I just think he's the better grappler. It's probably a sheep pick as an underdog. Every other favorite, I'm fairly confident wins, if not finds the finish. Whew. This is going to be it, fellas. We need to make 3 units. Let's do it.